Hey, Adobe Creative Educator community. We're so excited to see you here today. We have just touched down in our virtual hot air balloon into the Atlanta, Georgia region. So if you're just joining in the chat, please post where you're joining us from in the world, what you teach. We'd love to connect with you and share more about this special area of Atlanta that we're going to share more about today. So for those who I haven't met, my name's Clara. I manage our educator community programs here at Adobe, and I'm joined by my partner in crime, Miss Tanya Abreth.
Hey everybody, so excited to see you here. Again, please tell us where you're joining from. We love to learn about what you teach and where you are in the world today. And as Clara said, I work with her at Adobe and I work on the community and evangelism team. So welcome. All right, so we have a great show today, right, Clara?
We have some great speakers lined up, and you're going to hear from some amazing thought leaders in education. And as usual, we're going to go through our creative process of define, create, and reflect. And before we do that, we have a very special keynote speaker joining you from Atlanta today. So our keynote is by Dr. Natasha Rachell, who's going to be sharing how will you amplify your students' voices. And Natasha is a digital learning specialist at Atlanta Public Schools, and she's a key member of the Adobe Creativity Crew Advisory Board. She holds a doctorate in organizational leadership with an emphasis in effective schools and is alternatively certified in grades 6 through 12, a broad field science teacher. She's turned math teacher and science transition to teaching coach, turned professional learning coach, turned educational technology specialist, and turned science digital learning specialist. So Natasha is a very accomplished educational thought leader, and you can follow her on Twitter at APSIT Natasha. So let's bring on Natasha. Welcome. We're so thrilled to have you today.
Hey, ladies, I'm so excited to be here with you two and with the rest of the Adobe crew. So excited to be here today.
Awesome. Well, we'd love to hear from you, and we're excited for you to kick off your keynote.
Yes. All right. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. How many times have we said that in the 2021 year? I feel like I should have had like Ludacris playing as a walk-up song, like "Welcome to Atlanta, where the players play." We should have had it tuned in. We should have had it tuned up. But I am so excited to be here with all of you today. Thank you so much for that amazing introduction. As Clara said, I'm Natasha Rachell, and I am here in Atlanta. So I am in the heart, smack dab in the center of Atlanta Public Schools, right in the middle of downtown Atlanta. And I know that Clara and Tanya are going to be sharing the bit link to the presentation with you today. So if you want to grab a copy of it and grab the resources that are there, you are definitely more than welcome to do so. And what I'm going to be talking to you about and just sharing with you today, let me start my timer so I stay on track, is just I want you to think about how you're amplifying your students' voices and how you're going to amplify your students' voices. And I want to start with the question, how are you empowering your students to be creative? I want to plant that seed. And the reason why I want to plant that seed, as Clara said, I am a former high school science teacher. So I'm broad field certified in grades 6 through 12. And I have taught everything from biology to AP classes and environmental science. But my first year teaching biology, I thought it would be so cool to have my students make edible plant cells. And I just thought it was going to be amazing. And I ended up with 3 different periods. We were on block schedule, 3 different periods of these like cakes and cookies and Jello molds of these edible plant cells, right? And at the time I thought, oh my gosh, this is amazing, blah, blah, blah. And like the next day came in, there's ants everywhere, all over my science lab. It was a hot mess. I thought it was just being creative. My kids were going to be just creative geniuses at home, creating these plant cells. And then as I've gotten further into the field of education, what I've realized when we look at the SAMR model, let's just kind of dive into that for just a second. All I was having them do was substitute. They really weren't doing a whole lot of anything except for baking a cake or a cookie or putting some Jell-O in the fridge and creating some little cute little, cookie or candy things and sticking a toothpick with a label on it. They were substituting what they already knew about a plant or an animal cell from one form to another. So in the big picture, what I thought was the coolest thing ever really was not a whole lot, right? So as we are planting the seed about how we're empowering our students' voices and how we're amplifying their voices, I want you to keep this SAMR model in the back of your mind. And if you're not familiar with the SAMR model, the whole goal is to work from substitution to redefinition. And with all of these steps, one of the things that we want to do is to give our students an authentic audience in which to amplify their voices and amplify their work. Okay, so just keep that seed planted as we're going through. One of the students that I was so fortunate enough, and I just have to say fortunate because it was a true honor and pleasure to teach Sheldon. This is one of my former students. His name is Sheldon, and this is a more recent picture than when I had him as a student. Sheldon is probably about 30 years old now, and Sheldon, when I had him, I'm 5'3" on a good day. Sheldon's like 5'11", 6 feet. And on this day, I had him for environmental science, and we were talking about the water cycle, the nitrogen cycle, and the carbon cycle. And my assignment that I gave to my class was, hey, it was on a Monday. I'm going to give you a week to come up with some kind of project, some kind of whatever you want it to be, to show that you have mastered one of these cycles. You can select one of the 3 cycles. You can select your outcome, do whatever you want. In hindsight, I was probably being a lazy teacher that day. And Sheldon came to class the next day. So I gave this project on a Monday. He came to class Tuesday morning. Now, let me back up and just kind of give you a little bit of background on Sheldon. Super quiet student, really, really quiet, did his work, good kid, never gave me any problems. Super, super quiet though, super quiet. And so he comes to class on Tuesday morning and he puts on my desk a CD. Now, this is how long ago this was. Silver CD, puts it down on my desk. And on the CD in black Sharpie, it says water cycle wrap. And he is so excited. Now, this is back when we had the big boxy desk computers that you had to push the button and the little CD thing came out and you put the CD in. And so he was so excited. And he said, Miss Rachel, are you going to play it? Are you going to play it? And I said, yeah, Sheldon, I'll play it. Let me get attendance going, get you guys going, bell ringer, all that good stuff. And he was like, no, Miss Rachel, you have to play it. Like, put it in and play it now. And I was like, okay. So I put it in, I pushed play. And I'm like jamming out to like his little thing. And it's like, he's grooving and he raps about the water cycle from beginning to end, even mentioned things that I had not taught. So he clearly went and did his research. He went and, did further research than what I had taught them in class, the content that I taught and that I presented. He even gave me a shout out in the rap, which at that point I was like A+ for Sheldon. And on that assessment that they had to take on that particular, on that section for the water cycle, he scored perfectly. And what this taught me is that we really have to meet our students where they are. We have to figure out their interests, what they're interested in, and we have to meet them where they are. And when I say meet them where they are, I'm not talking about leveling, and I'm not talking about, if this person is an A student or a B student or D or an F student, let's meet them where they are that way. Of course, we have to figure that piece of it out, but meet them where they are as far as what are their interests. Sheldon obviously was a creative genius. Even now, he's amazing. But I didn't know that about him, and I wouldn't have known that about him if I hadn't given him or the class this project to do. Okay. So are you ready to try something new? Are you ready to meet your students where they are and try something new? As cliche as it sounds, and we say this all the time, we are preparing our students for their future, not ours. We're preparing them for careers that don't even exist yet. We get so comfortable in the tools and the resources and the things that we do that we're familiar with that we're so scared to just step out and try something new. But I'm here today to challenge you to just start. Just start. Just pick something and just start. Just take one step forward and just start. As educators, we have a responsibility to provide every single student that we have with an opportunity to amplify their voice. We may not be able to, let me back up. A lot of people say, oh, I have to give all my students a voice. That's wrong. Your students have a voice already. Your job is to make sure that they have an opportunity to amplify their voice, okay? And with everything that's out there, this isn't even the tip of the iceberg. It can get so confusing about where do I start? What I want to just plant the seed with you is that I don't want you to let the fear of what could potentially happen, because maybe you're scared to start because you think it's going to fail and your kids aren't going to go on the journey with you. Don't let that fear of what could happen make nothing happen, because I'm here to tell you, I feel like a preacher, I'm here to tell you, your kids are going to jump on the journey with you. They're going to get on the train. Don't be afraid to tell your kids, like, hey guys, we're going to try something new today. I don't know if it's going to work. It might fail. I don't know, but we're going to try it anyway. Don't be afraid of that, okay? At the same time, I don't want you to let the fears and limiting beliefs of your teachers next door, your teachers down the hallway, you know, other people, limit what's possible for you and your students. Just because it didn't work for the teacher next door or the teacher across the hall, especially in this time of virtual learning, you may have a teacher that says, oh, I tried using such and such and it didn't work, or I tried doing this and it didn't work. Don't let that fear that it didn't work for them make you feel like it's not going to work for you and your students, because your students are different. They have different needs, they have different wants, they have different desires, they're just different. So don't let that fear hold you back either, okay? So I just have to give a plug, because I am a creative educator, that Adobe Spark makes it so easy. Adobe for Education makes it so easy. They have literally given us the easy button, okay? We can start from scratch. You can tell your story from scratch. Don't get caught up in the fact that this is Instagram and Facebook and these can be used for anything. If you need a starting place, they give you starting places. They give you beautiful templates to start from that you can change the colors and the font and the text. You can remix them. You can animate them. And if you need inspiration, Adobe even provides you with blogs that are there with tons and tons of amazing inspiration that you can pull from. So how do we give our kids that chance to amplify their voices? How do we pull that out of them? Well, one of the things that we can do is get our students to start telling their stories. I was so inspired. I was searching for some Maya Angelou quotes, and I found this particular image on Pinterest. And it stopped me dead in my tracks. Because when we think of people, we often will say, oh, and I'm just going to call out Tanya because I know Tanya. We might say, oh, Tanya's a mom, or she works for Adobe, or Clara works for Adobe. But there's so much more to people than just what we know about them. So I saw this image on Pinterest, and it stopped me dead in my tracks because of just how amazing Dr. Maya Angelou is. And we are made up of so many different pieces. So I challenged myself to kind of recreate this image for myself. I am a wife, a mother, a daughter, a sister, a friend, a doctor, an author, an educator, a change maker, an ed tech enthusiast, and all of that makes me Natasha. So I have given you a template to remix. When you click on this template to remix here, it's going to take you to Adobe for Education. It's going to take you to Adobe Spark, and you are able to then remix this image and make it your own. All you're going to do is click remix this design, and you can make it your own. And I would love for you to do that and hashtag Adobe EDU Creative so we can see what you create. Okay. Another thing that I want to share with you is the power of the 6-word story. This is nothing new. It's nothing new, but it is so amazingly powerful. This can be used across all content areas: math, science, social studies, English, PE, home economics. Do they still teach home economics? I don't know, but if they do, it can be used there too. It can be used everywhere. And the most common one was one created by Ernest Hemingway that said, "For sale, baby shoes never worn." The 6-word story, there's this amazing, powerful TED Talk that was created by Larry Smith. But what it does is it allows our students and even us as adults to come up with these powerful, concise 6-word statements that Get our thoughts out in 6 short words, one simple phrase, okay? This video is absolutely amazing. It's about 17 minutes long. I highly encourage you to watch it, share it with your students. It's super inspiring. And I've also given you in here some different resources that you can use and pull from. Let's see, this first one here, be careful sharing this one with students. Definitely it would be more for upper grades, but there are some good examples here. Time for Kids, this one was so funny. These were images that were taken during COVID. I'm so bored, please help me. And then there's some descriptions here. This one says 6 feet apart, I'm in quarantine. And it just shows you how creative our students can be. I can't wait for real school. This one says, sometimes I'm happy, sometimes I'm sad. So much more time to read. I don't know if you can see my bookshelf behind me, but I am here for all of that. And then my bike makes life good again. So this is a great resource to share with your younger students. And then this website here is chock full of resources for the 6-word story. There's even some teacher lesson plans that are on here that you can download for free. And it goes into the 6-word memoir project. You can submit your classes. These are all 6-word stories here that are posted. You can submit your classes 6-word stories or 6-word memoirs to this website. There are 6-word reflections on Black Lives Matter that are posted. And you see they're from all over, Alaska, Colorado, so they're everywhere. And a great place to start with this, a great resource to use to post your 6-word stories, of course, is Adobe. I love it. Adobe Spark Post makes this so simple. So my word for 2021 is possibilities. And so my 6-word story is I am open to the possibility. And then I just I added an image of me jumping up in the air. Of course, I had to go to Twitter and get some of my friends to remix it and share theirs. This is one of my friends, Dr. Katrina Stanfield, and she said, I live every day deliberately without regrets. I have another friend who forgot to put her image. She left my image, but Allie Worsham says, overcame my struggles to find success. And then Nicole Taylor, who we all know and love, said, my voice will change the world. And so these stories, these 6-word memoirs, just really give us a chance to allow our students to amplify their voice. Everyone has a story. They all deserve to be heard. Challenge your students to share their stories. I was in a class in Denver, Colorado, and they had their 6-word stories posted all over the classroom. It was so breathtaking. And it sounds like, okay, she's being dramatic, but as an educator, to stand there and just read them, like, it was amazing. It was amazing, the power that lives within 6 words. So use Adobe Spark Posts to create those. You can remix them. And then once you have those, don't be afraid to app smash them, to add opportunities for your students to not only visualize, but to also verbalize their thinking and verbalize their stories. So again, going back to that image of everything that's out there, let's kind of just talk about it for just a second. I know I'm coming up on my time, but we could take those images and drop them in something like Flipgrid or Buncee, just for example, or we could drop it into Microsoft PowerPoint and add some audio, or Google Slides and add some audio, and then have our students verbalize their 6-word stories too, and talk a little bit more about them and go more in depth, okay? You could also take that and drop it right inside of an Adobe Spark page. Oh, there's my timer. Sorry, Adobe Spark page, and add that audio element as well. So definitely app smash, don't be afraid of that. And I just want to bring it back. I am proud to be a creative educator at Atlanta Public Schools, inspired to amplify the voices of all students and teachers. And my question that I want to leave you with is, will you join me? So hop on the hot air balloon with us. And with that, I would love to connect with you. I thank you so much for your time today. I hope that something I said planted a little bit of seeds, planted a little bit of inspiration or a little seed to inspire you to try something new. And with that, I'm going to pass it back to Tanya and Clara.
That was awesome.
That's amazing. I loved that page.
Yes.
Thank you.
6-word story. You know that, Natasha. I loved it. That's fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure to be here with you guys.
Well, we're super excited that you came on, and thank you for representing the greater Atlanta metropolitan area. That was fantastic. I always love hearing you speak. You're one of my very, very favorites. So thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. And we're super excited to be representing Atlanta today. Natasha, any other closing thoughts, ideas, anything you want to share? How can people get a hold of you if they have any questions?
Yes, I would love to connect. Obviously, probably Twitter is the most obvious and easiest way, at APS IT Natasha. And everyone's always like, what is that little beginning section? It just stands for Atlanta Public Schools Instructional Technology. It's like the little preface before all of our Twitter handles. And then my website is www.natasharachell.com. But Twitter, I'm there, I'm active, I'm on it every single day, and would love to connect with you all over there. And like hashtag, like post your 6-word stories. I want to see them all and like see what you guys create. So definitely share those too.
I'm going to share that link up here again with the hashtag Adobe EDU Creative.
Yes.
And Natasha, I love your shirt as well. I know it's like the best. I'm a creative educator, so we're loving seeing those shirts within our community. And thank you for all the ideas you shared today. And again, if you're tuning in, be sure to connect with Natasha on Twitter. Her handle is there right below. And we're looking forward to hearing your 6-word stories with the hashtag Adobe EDU Creative. But thank you again, Natasha, so much for joining us.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Bye.
Well, that was awesome. I'm super excited. Today's show is just kind of kicked off just in the right way. And I'm super excited to have our next set of guests and panelists for today's Creativity in the Clouds World Tour. As we mentioned, we are in the greater Atlanta metropolitan area, but we actually have an awesome group from Fulton. And I think we should just bring them in and we'll have an opportunity to introduce them. So as they're joining us, let's bring them all in. Hello, lovely ladies.
Yeah.
Well, we're super excited to have you. We have Mindy Ramon, who is joining us. She is the coordinator of instructional technology training and training. We have Martha. Oh my goodness, Martha, I feel like I'm gonna mess your name up. Help me out. Martha.
Buongiorno. It's like DiGiorno, except with a B.
Oh, what a great name. Okay, Buongiorno.
Right? Pizza and all that.
Oh my goodness. So, and Martha works in the media is a media and education technology instructor. And Megan, oh my God, Megan, I feel like I'm gonna murder your name too today. What's wrong with me?
Endicott.
I'm like so afraid of messing people's names up because I value people's names. It's your identity. And you are an elementary music teacher at Dulvin Elementary and Fulton County Vanguard lead coach. Okay, so I want you guys to kind of introduce yourself a little bit better, share a little bit more about us because you really have awesome goals and the work you're doing is amazing. So let's start with you, Mindy. Please go ahead and share a little bit more about yourself.
Yeah, so I'm Mindy Ramon. I work in Fulton County Schools, and I am in the instructional technology department, and my specific role is to coordinate and plan professional development for all of our certified employees. So as you can imagine, this has been a really wild and crazy ride. Not ever, did I imagine in my career that it would be this busy, this much hunger and desire to learn how to use technology effectively in the classroom. So this has probably been, I've been, doing the work of instructional technology since 1996, and this past year has been the most exciting, of all. So, and it's been a pleasure to work with Megan and Martha over the course of this past year. The three of us have worked really closely together. And Natasha, I've known Natasha for a number of years. We have been a part of the Microsoft Innovative Educator expert community together, but not once have I ever heard her speak. So I'm just blown away, and I'm so excited about this collaboration this afternoon.
That's awesome. She's a great speaker, and I can just imagine this has probably been the wildest year of your life, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that. I'd love for Martha, for you to share a little bit more about your role and what you're doing at Fulton.
Yeah, so hi, I'm Martha Bongiorno. I am a media and education technology instructor here in Fulton County. That's a very fancy term that they've deemed a school librarian. So I get the joy of supporting students and staff members all about literacy and all the different forms that takes. So information, digital, traditional literacy, creative literacy, and all of that. And then when I'm not working during the day in Fulton, I get to serve the Greater Library Media Specialist of Georgia by being president of the Georgia Library Media Association. And I get to work with the Vanguard team closely with Megan on their leadership team. So it's an exciting place to be, and I get to have this unique perspective where I get to see all the different roles and content areas throughout the county and all of that. So
you guys are amazing. I mean, I'm just always so impressed. And just side note, we actually connected with Martha on Twitter. That's actually how a lot of the conversations with Martha and a lot of the, a lot of these kind of like in between sessions started happening. So the power of social media and Martha being a great sharer. So thank you, Martha, so much for that. And Megan, it's so great to have you here. Please share a little bit more about what you do. And you have like 2 big jobs, I feel like, but you do 2 big jobs.
Yeah, so I feel like life is more fun when you're busy, right? Isn't that the way it's supposed to work? So I feel like, no offense to anyone else, but I have the best job ever. So I'm an elementary music teacher by day, right? So I get to sing and dance all day with kindergarten through 5th grade students. And you talk about creativity, right? That's our whole big focus today. And I feel like the music world is a wonderful place to express yourself. And loving that we get to talk about some tools today that can expand that. But beyond my elementary music job, I also serve as the district Vanguard lead coach, which we're going to talk a little bit about Vanguard today. I'm very excited to share with you a little bit about our people and what we do. I also get to work as a fine art support teacher in our district, which means that Wednesdays I have a set list of people that I think about 14 or 15 that I coach and mentor on Wednesdays. I get to pop in and see them teach in action and offer support and guide them and whatever possible thing they could possibly need. And just recently, you guys, I've been working with the Georgia Department of Education as the PLC moderator for all elementary, well, actually it's elementary, middle, just general music. So lots of fun things going on here in the world of Megan.
Oh my God, we have like a rock star group on today.
Amazing.
I'm so excited about this show. Oh my goodness. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you all so much for joining us. And I know some incredible things are happening at Fulton County, so we're excited to share that. Being virtually here in Atlanta with our hot air balloon. But when it comes to creativity, how do you approach that at Fulton County in educator professional development or, in student-facing instruction? Megan, why don't we start with you?
Sure, definitely. So I know when we're talking about, the teachers and professional development, one of the big focuses is always on fostering a sustained professional development model. So what that means, right? We're trying to interweave so that everything that we ever put out or we put in front of our people is connected and aligned so that the learning continues throughout the year. It's not a one and done type of feel. And I feel that that has been tremendous. So with our Vanguard team in particular, which I can really speak to, we have been working really hard on creating we have our own PD team. And we offer things like webinars that are, again, all aligned to that district initiative. Lunch and learn events, book studies. These are just a few things that we do that tie into that initiative. But of course, we've got some other things that we've been doing to help make things, you got to jazz things up, right? You can't do the same thing all the time, and making sure that you're keeping your people invested and excited and engaged is important. So, I think the book studies, that was a new thing that we did this year, all through Microsoft Teams platform. Had a bunch of people jump on board. It was all about the distant learning playbook. It was a great opportunity for people to get dive in deeper with instructional practices, best practices in teaching online. But we this year created with Mindy can definitely talk about how awesome this program was, but it was a Train the Trainer initiative where we were training all of the entire Vanguard team on Microsoft to become Microsoft Innovative Educator Train the Trainers. So it's like a huge, massive program that was developed, and then we were able to take that information, train our people, and then they were able to then train people in their schools. So we're all about building capacity. And then another big, amazing event, which we are going to get into a little bit more detail here at the end of our chat today, is a Fulton Education Conference. We held our first ever big, gigantic 8,000 person conference this year, and it went off really well. So I can't wait for us to kind of talk about more about that. But I think when we're talking about making things, exciting and bringing in, ways to keep that creativity alive, it's to find ways to empower your teachers to continue to want to do things so that they can take their learning back to their classrooms and then, spark that same joy and love. And we want to keep the love and the joy and the excitement from teaching so that the teachers will then come and help spread that mission to the students. So there's just a couple of things as far as our PD with teachers.
Okay, so I can attest to how insane that February 12th event that for 8,000 people was. I got the opportunity to speak, and I was mind blown. I had like 700 people in a session. It was just incredible. And you're so spot on because the excitement on Twitter was out of control. And so I can attest to that firsthand, that you guys have done a really great job at really getting people excited. And your energy is so incredible. I love working with this team. It's so much fun. It's what education and professional development really needs to kind of feel, right? Like it's not this thing you have to do, but you have turned it into this thing that's actually enjoyable and fun. And there's a culture around that. And so I would love to learn more about some of the educator-facing programs that you guys are focusing on at Fulton County. What are one or two that you're most excited about for the remainder of this year?
Yeah, so I'll speak to that. Obviously, in my role as coordinator of instructional technology training, I'm tasked with leading the district with professional development, and there's no way that I could do it without the help of the Vanguard team, right? So as Megan spoke, we had a very large initiative to get our teachers, our Vanguard teachers and teachers in our building up to speed with Microsoft, and we did a very in-depth course with Microsoft Teams, OneNote, Microsoft Forms, all of the Microsoft education apps, and that was kind of our focus for this school year. It involved hours and hours of synchronous sessions. We gave teachers options to do self-paced courses, webinars, office hours, help sessions, and we've had a very strong focus this year on getting teachers, to be very proficient with using technology to meet their remote learners, as I'm sure everyone else that's listening, can attest to that. But what we're most excited about is this focus for the summer and the next school year is on getting our Vanguard and any other teacher, who is able to jump on board with us up to speed with using Adobe, and getting more and more students to be creators. And obviously we're getting started with Adobe Spark, and we're working right now very hard at kind of just building that excitement, like Megan talked about, getting teachers excited, getting them to see and understand the possibilities. And we're working that through with our Vanguard team first, right? And then they're going to carry the message out to the others. And so our Vanguard team is going to be treated to a very special guest. I'm not going to provide the person's name, but throughout April, they're going to get a chance to participate in, I think it's 3 different sessions with this person, and he is going to build the hype about what Adobe can do, creativity in the classroom, and then they'll have the option to participate in a much longer summer institute.
Wow, this is so exciting. And I know you had so many special guest speakers that you've brought into Fulton County. So we're excited to get the announcement for that mystery guest speaker, and hope that it is going to impact so many educators in their own professional work. And I know we've talked a lot, even before this live stream, about the Vanguard program, and it's incredible what you've built at Fulton County. And especially with the Vanguard program supporting ed tech and educator professional development. Can you share a little bit more about the structure of the program, and for other schools and other districts who are tuning in, how might they implement a similar program?
Sure. I'm real excited to share about the Vanguard team and ways that hopefully other people can model something similar and create this movement, if you will. So our Vanguard team is comprised of teachers and leaders and district personnel who all possess those same ideals of transforming, innovating, mentoring, and supporting our teachers and students towards success. So our mission is to build capacity of instructional leaders to transform learning and teaching. That's my fancy spiel there for you. It's a 300-person powerhouse, y'all. Not kidding. That's embedded all throughout the district, mostly inside of the school buildings, and we have some in the district as well. Our goal is to have a full capacity of 4 members in each building that support the work through offering one-on-one coaching or small group training, sometimes even large group trainings on instructional strategies and technology integration based on needs. Now, here's the coolest part. It's all volunteer. Everybody just volunteers. Okay. So we are able to support everybody with, a couple of, added bonuses, right? We've got PD for our people to help train them and give them what they need there. There is a stipend offered for active members that meet and fulfill the requirements. So the question is, this is a massive undertaking. How did it all start? Well, it started small, of course. Like everything probably starts small. It was a small group of, Mindy might be able to correct me later, I think around 20 or so. And this group really started off the foundation of what we are today. Each year, we open up a new class membership through an application process. It is usually the application process involves basic information about the teacher, but then it also involves a creativity portion where they're creating a video of some sorts to share a little bit about themselves and about how they too support this mission, so that we can get excited about who's coming in. It is a pretty competitive process because we do have a lot of people that are interested. And then we end up bringing in a set number based on, funding for our new member class. And they are onboarded. So they go through a process where they are trained specifically with a leadership member who guides them through best practices and all the ins and outs of becoming that trainer, right? How do we do the training process effectively through the coaching cycle? And then, of course, we couldn't do all this besides the new membership, building our team, but we can't do all of this without having a leadership team, a very strong leadership team. We have many, many, many hands. We know that many hands make the work light, and having this amazing leadership team divided out with specific tasks. It's more of a task-oriented leadership team to drive the work. It really keeps the team strong. So we've got 2 sides to that leadership group. We've got the community capacity building, right? They're the ones that are helping answer questions and reach out to their members in their particular learning communities or zones to make sure that they are exactly getting the information that they need. And then we have the leads that go through and do things like make sure that we have communication that's clear, build up the hype around social media, help with PD events and things of that nature. So I guess really my advice is to start small, come up with, build that excitement to find out who are going to be the people who are going to move mountains, who's going to bring the people to jump off the bridge with them. Everybody talks about that. You want to get those people on board, and you want to make it really exciting for them to want to do all of the crazy things that we do. And then you start building that community, and people are real excited to be a part of something that's just like family.
Awesome. Thank you so much about sharing about the Vanguard program. And for those who are interested in learning more, I just have the link down there. So be sure to check it out. FCSVanguard.org. Such an incredible model that so many other districts and schools can follow. And
I have a quick question before you move to that question.
Yeah.
Just because I work with so many different districts, and this is such a great model for districts. And I mean, there are some that have similar ones, but to be honest, there's actually not as many as you would think. And so I do think that this is just such an incredible initiative. I just want, because people might be wondering, like, how big is your district? Like, how many teachers do you service? How many students? Like, because that makes a difference, because you're not small.
Mindy, you want to jump in on this one?
Yeah, and that's actually a great segue into what we're going to talk about next. So we didn't mention in the beginning, our district is huge. We have, I believe it's 95 schools, over 7,000 teachers, and we are 80 miles from top to bottom. So, that is a tremendous effort to make sure to get 7,500 teachers kind of moving in the same direction. And that was the reason behind the creation of the Vanguard team. They are our eyes and ears on the ground, in that local school support to be able to help and bring others along. And there's just no way that we could reach everyone in the district just within our instructional technology department. And so more than ever, the Vanguard team has just been invaluable this last year. We would not be where we are without them, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of that, celebration conference and how you've been able to, really mobilize so many educators, can you share a little bit more about the conference? And we can post the link so educators tuning in can check out a bit more.
So we have actually held 2 virtual conferences this year. The first one that we had was in the fall, and it was called Celebration Conference. And the way that this came about was we realized, by October of this year, that our teachers were just doing amazing and incredible things, as we just pointed out, largely because of the support that they've gotten from the Vanguard team. But we wanted to give teachers in our district an opportunity to share with each other. And this conference was all about sharing best practices and instructional strategies, not pressing the buttons and how do you have a Teams meeting with students. This was all sharing about how we build and maintain relationships, planning effective instruction, student engagement, feedback, assessment, and grading. And we had teachers who were nominated by others in their building. And this conference was set up in, I guess you would say, in a panel format. So we had panels going on all throughout the day in these different categories. And teachers could choose which session they wanted to attend. And in each session, there was about 4 or 5 different teachers that were sharing their best practices. And it was just amazing. Not ever before in Fulton did we have the whole district come together for teachers to share with each other, what had come out of their learning and how they were really making an impact in the classroom during these unprecedented times.
I know the pandemic has been hard on people, but that in itself was amazing to me. Like being able to bring all 7,500 educators together from the district office, from all different content levels, and being able to do that in a virtual setting and celebrate the good work that they're doing and how that affects our students, I just thought was amazing. And props to Mindy for heading that up in our district office, because it was phenomenal.
Well, as you mentioned, yes, this year's been like crazy, right? I mean, like nothing we've ever seen ever, clearly. And I know that there's definitely been like a lot of amazing resources and programs that you guys have created that definitely have sparked inspiration for a lot of your teachers and schools. And so we, as we mentioned, we kind of go through this kind of define, create, and reflect process in our show. And I'd love to kind of move into the create portion of today's show and learn a little bit more about some of the specific tools and resources that you might be able to share with our community around ways that educators can access or resources and strategies that educators can access for their own classrooms, and also for school leaders to be able to use with their own schools. So I think, Martha, you have some resources that you were going to share. If you could just share your screen, we'll be able to put it up there and we're good to go. And make sure you're unmuted. It's okay. This is live. This is how it goes.
Don't you love that? But yeah, I'm actually really glad to be able to share this, and that we had Natasha start us off, right? And I think that's keynote and the definition of what we do to support teachers has really been able to support our students at the end of the day, right? So our Vanguard team, what we do with our PD and all of that, at the end of the day, it's never about technology tools. It's always about the pedagogy behind it. And this idea of creativity, kind of releasing that traditional expectation and the intentional designing of lessons and units and projects and all these things to support your students, it comes from that. And so what you're about to see and what I'm going to share focuses on supporting student voice and choice, because it's a key component to teaching creative literacy. To me, they go hand in hand, and I think anyone in Fulton would agree with that. So when we support creativity and develop that with our students here, it's really empowering our students and building their confidence and focusing on a growth mindset. And keep in mind, this is stuff that we do all across contents and all across grade levels, right? So, creativity being a chameleon, that it's on a spectrum of how it shapes and ebbs and flows depending on the student and how much gradual release they need, and if they're one of those kids that just jumps into the deep end and wants to do all the things by themselves. So creativity takes on different forms, and I think we don't say that enough. I think sometimes we see these huge projects and we're like, oh, I have to do all the crazy, big, amazing projects. But it's little things that you can do that empower your students that then create larger opportunities for them later. And so this is just a little taste. It's not anywhere near the plethora of things that our teachers do. But we're going to start with just student voice in general. So one of the things that we started this school year, because it's so hard for us to connect, podcasting has actually been a really great way for us to connect with our students and connect them with a larger audience in a way that we are missing because of the pandemic and that connection that's been missing. So this is an example of our student library advisory board here at my school. We're in a middle grades content area. And so we just had a podcast logo contest when they were starting their podcast Between the Pages. And we used this as a springboard to not only teach Adobe Spark so that they could then go and teach their peers how to use Adobe Spark, but also just a fun way to create logos for the podcast. They ended up doing a hand-drawn one, but it was a really fun, like almost month-long competition between all of them. And then I've linked down here the different templates that you can take that are on the Adobe Spark template page. And then one of the things that's really cool about being a media specialist is having this unique ability to have that flexibility with students that go a little bit different than the academic content areas, right? So what I do with our students is a lunch bunch group, and it's just a hodgepodge of kids from all different grade levels that join in with us. And we, and from that kind of sprang this idea of needing a sunshine club. People were feeling very sad, disconnected. This was way back in September, and they started a sunshine club. And to start spreading joy and kindness, we had a bookmark challenge, and Adobe Spark was great for that. And so that was really, really awesome. And then we also started a social media contest. So, we use that hashtag FCS Creates, and we wanted to have Twitter banners and everything talking about ways that we can affect in a positive way, positive change, right? And so they shared all of this over on their Microsoft team using Adobe Spark and sharing their links. And then we voted on our favorite. So that was really fun. And then student quotes. This is something that I work on with our Student Library Advisory Board as well. We have National School Library Month coming up soon, which is really exciting. It's in April. And they accumulated all these quotes about how awesome the library is, what it's done to support them during the pandemic, and then they created student quote templates to share out with people. But my favorite thing that we do to support students is releasing the learning to them, giving a broad, generic idea of what we want, and then having students take it and run with it, right? That's where students really have the opportunity to glow and grow as learners. And so this is actually a project that third grade class did, and they participated in an Invention Genius Hour project. And this was with Carrie Bates over at State Bridge Elementary School. And this particular student in this project that I'm about to show you came up with this idea for huggers. She's riddled with anxiety and wanted to come up with something to calm other anxious children. And bless her, she was just so sweet. And she sewed these cute little huggers, and then we're able to sell them at their invention fair and everything, and then made that advertisement with Adobe Spark. But let's watch it, shall we? All right, there we go. Ta-da! Internet is a wonderful thing.
Do you ever feel sad, alone, or stressed? Do you need to talk to someone? Then Huggers are for you. They are homemade in Georgia with pride and quality. It's meant to withstand the rough backpack of toys, and there is a very slim chance it will break. Let all your tears wash away with Huggers. Isabel H. Don't take my word for it. Hear from an actual customer. Makes me feel better. Buy your hugger before they sell out.
Oh, y'all, that was just precious. And I love that she was empowered to create to help others, right? So this teacher created a generic little idea, and it just ran with it. And I just love that these little huggers have gone into homes of other children and helped with their anxiety and their stress level. So I love that. And then there's this idea that we don't just create opportunities for students, we also create opportunities for teachers to model. And so some of the things that I've been working on personally, not only as a school library media specialist, but a Vanguard member, is how to use my platform in order to not only communicate effectively with patrons and the larger school community, but using that as an opportunity to model how to use these tools so that they can then go and teach their kids, empower their students to use these tools to do amazing things like Huggers advertisements. So we have a school library brochure that I've linked on here. And this is just the coolest thing that I think any school can take and tweak. A school library, of course, but like your school could create brochures for open house night. You could create or allow students the opportunity to create club brochures to hand out at open house or curriculum night. And because Adobe Spark, you're allowed to share links. You could do this in a virtual setting, or you could print them and share these out. So there's so many different ways that you can do this. And then you could use this for book talks, baptizing on the morning news network. We have monitors around our school. So I have these videos being played all across our school all the time, because the library is not just a physical place, it's a virtual space as well. And this is all stuff that not only I help with, but our Student Library Advisory Board, our technology team, our SWAT team, they make these videos, these little promo videos, so that they can share that with our school community as well. So I just think it's amazing what students can create when you give them that opportunity. So I'm going to stop that. And then I wanted to end on some of the things that we have been sharing over on Twitter. We have recently started using Adobe Spark. I've been using this for some time. I love Adobe and the amazing things that it can do for us and for our students. But I'm excited that it's come to Fulton. I'm excited that we can start really amping that up with our teachers. And we started a hashtag FCS Creates, and they've been sharing these lesson ideas over here. So, you know, coming up with new class rules and advertising that to your classmates so that everybody can vote on that. And then, you know, just going over content, reviewing learning opportunities, you know, talking about endangered species, doing videos, and just allowing students to learn the tool so that they can be empowered to create and learn at the same time. So yeah, all of that is going to be linked for you. But yeah, I'm excited. And anytime that you want to connect, we have all of these templates and all of these lesson plans and all the things. And I'm an open book, so feel free to take the things. But thanks for letting me
take the things. Oh my God, my brain is like, and I just love all these great creative ideas, and they're so doable, so practical, and just also I love how you tied in inquiry and how you're talking about student choice. That's so important. You know, our students are so, our children are sometimes so overscheduled and so over tested, and you know, and those are the realities, but there are still opportunities for kids to be creative. And I love how you are balancing that where you can. And I just love this work that you're doing. I think it's so phenomenal. And thank you for being such a great sharer of things, because this is so great. I know that you guys have done, and I just, you know, I gush over you because I just love working with this district. I think you guys are doing such phenomenal work to really be able to reach the masses and to be able to inspire people in your district, but also you're such great sharers. And so thank you so much for being here. And one of the things that I think is so powerful was that February conference. I think that, I mean, hello, you trained 8,000 people. Like, hold on a second. Like, let's think about this for a second. A year ago, that was like something that we would not have even fathomed. Like, it was still not, we were not in a place, we were in survival mode. A year ago, we were just kind of like, how do you use Teams? You know, it's like, what? And a year, almost like less than a year later, you now have taken a situation that's been really rough and stressful, but you found a silver lining there. And I'd love to learn a little bit more about that February 12th conference, because 8,000 people, that's mental. So if you could just share a little bit more about that, that would be awesome. I think people would really appreciate to learn how you pulled that off.
Yeah, definitely. I think the funniest thing was, you know, they always said, we've never done this before. We've never been in a situation where we could put the same people in the same place at the same time. So, you know, hey, Megan, would you think Vanguard wants to host this huge conference? And I was like, yes, of course. We do conferences all the time. How many people? And they were like 8,000. And I was like, what? 8,000. Oh my gosh. So that brought with a lot of like outside the box thinking, right? We met with Microsoft engineers on the back end and our education consultants, and really spent a little bit of time of getting into the possibilities of having the magnitude of that many people inside of a virtual platform, which again, you know, that was Microsoft, and It worked out really well for us. But I think the thing to remember about this whole conference was it was for the teacher and it was by the teacher. So we had teachers and teacher leaders inside of our own district talking about our own district initiatives, leading what's happening in their classroom with our tools and our resources. And I think that doesn't happen often when you go to a conference. A lot of times, you have to pick and choose the path that's the most aligned, and you have to really think about ways to make it work. But we spent time making sure that, we brought in our own in-house experts. And so that all happened with us coming up with a vision for, okay, let's come up with strands that match the district vision and things that we've been learning. So we were the whole time thinking, okay, we want to talk about, effective technology use and ways to enhance learning. We wanted to talk about things like professional learning communities and ways to effectively plan. We wanted to talk about social emotional learning, just all the things. And so we came up with these strands to encourage people to apply. And then we had a team of volunteers that served on a committee that vetted these applications. Then we had a committee of coaches, mostly Vanguard members, who reached out in our professional learning department, who reached out to the people that we selected and worked with them on checking out their content and helping them with technology and just kind of answering all the questions that they have. And then, of course, we had to have, it was like crazy amounts of different committees. We had committees that were also facilitators and moderators the day of. So they popped on, they helped make sure we hit record. They helped moderate the chat. They helped with just technology questions and glitches. So it was a big group effort and a whole lot of fun. But I think my biggest, most favorite thing ever was the partnership that we developed between the Vanguard team, between the learning and teaching department, between the professional learning department, and the instructional technology department. All of these groups work together to pull off this event. When we are looking for specific content, we went to learning and teaching, to those content directors, and they were able to give us some information. They were able to help us recruit and find people to fill in the gaps. So that partnership was by far my favorite. So of course, just if anyone's ever planning on doing something like this, a couple of things to keep in mind, especially with a big group, it takes months of planning. Okay, like lots. And the more people you can get involved and you get that buy-in from the district area, that's even better. And of course, you want to really reach out and build the hype with your folks. So, funny videos. You can do so much with that with Spark. You can really bring in that excitement piece there too. And I think, after that, we also have a living space where all these things are recorded and shared and saved. People can view this. If they missed a session, they can look at the recording later for a different session. And it's just this valuable resource that's now shared inside of our department for years to come. And you guys can totally follow it and check out all the hype at Adventure Awaits FCS is our hashtag on social media. So check it out. The excitement's still there. You guys can see all of it.
This is awesome. And I know that this hashtag has a lot of great resources and content that educators have shared. Mindy, anything else to add to that February event?
I think I just want to say I'm just really proud of our district that we were able to pull off 2 virtual conferences this year, right? So I spoke earlier about our celebration conference, which was more of a sharing type event. And then this was like a legit conference, a statewide conference that people would go to where they get to pick and choose their sessions. And it has just been an amazing year to be able to bring the whole entire district together and in 2 different virtual events that went off amazingly successful. I can't even speak to one major thing that went wrong. And I'm just really proud of our district and what we've been able to accomplish in the last year.
It's so incredible. And we're so happy to be a part of it and, bring some speakers, but it's really a testament to how we can make professional development engaging. And even though, all of us are at home and, many of us teaching online or teaching in a hybrid model, we can still stay connected. And we at Adobe have also been thinking about how can we bring educators together in platforms like this. So it's incredible to see what the power of technology and what it can do. So any plans, any major learnings for next school year of how you might approach conferences, or a sneak peek?
Start planning earlier.
Totally. Definitely. Well, I know throughout every live stream show, again, we go through the creative process that we've gone today of define, and we have our creation portion. So we'll leave all of you tuning in with a reflection question, and we'd love for you to post in the chat any answers to this. But we'd love for you to reflect how any of the ideas or resources shared today will, impact your work with educators and students. So again, share with us with the hashtag Adobe EDU Creative. We'd love to see how any of the ideas shared today will impact your work with students and educators. But with that, Megan, Mindy, and Martha, thank you so much for joining us today. And just before we wrap up the live stream, do you want to share ways in which educators can get in touch if they have any questions with your Twitter handles or anything else? Martha, why don't we start with you, and then we'll go around.
You can find me on all the things. My little at Mrs._Banji is, that's an inside joke, but that was 10 years ago and it's somehow stuck on Twitter. But you can reach me there or on Instagram. And then I have a blog, discoveringtheremarkable.com, where I post, if you're a librarian or a tech person, I post all my resources over there. They tend to be secondary, but I do have an elementary background with some things on there too. So, but I love connecting with all the people because, we grow when we can connect, right? And the more that we can support one another and put community over competition, I think the better off we're going to be in education. So, yeah.
I love that. And that's something, on the Adobe team, it's community first and building professional learning networks first over anything else. So great. And Martha, I know we're connected on Twitter too. So looking forward to seeing a lot of the resources that you'll share. Mindy, do you want to share any ways to get in touch?
Sure. I am active on Twitter as well. So my Twitter handle is @Fulton IT and then DEPT, so like short for IT department, and the IT actually stands for instructional technology. But yes, I would love to connect. We by no means proclaim to be experts, right, in all of this, and everyone in the world is still learning, right, and trying to get better at reaching students. And I would love to connect and have further conversations about how you are using Adobe tools in your district.
Thank you, Mindy, and looking forward to staying connected on Twitter and other social channels. And Megan, other ways educators can stay connected who are tuning in.
Yeah, so I am big on Twitter, so my handle is right there. It's EndicottSpot. It was a fun thing we were doing with the music at EndicottSpot, the music spot. So I try to post everything there. If I have a website that I use a lot, but I'll link it inside of my Twitter post so you can kind of find all the avenues in that one spot. So just follow me there, and I'll follow you back. I can't wait. It's gonna be fun.
Perfect. Well, thank you, ladies, so much for joining us today. It's been a really fun hot air balloon spot in Atlanta. I'm so glad we were able to visit virtually today and hopefully soon in person. But thank you again. I know there's a lot going on at Fulton, as we can see from all the work that you shared with us today. So we really appreciate you taking the time to share with our community.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. And thank you to all those who tuned in today. Again, please post any learnings with the hashtag Adobe EDU Creative. We check that all the time. And we look forward to seeing you next week. So next week, we'll be back on our regular programming, Thursdays at 10:30 a.m. Pacific time every week. Next week, we have some folks on from the Stanford Design School, the D School. So looking forward to hearing from them. And then every other week, we are stopping with our hot air balloon. So we're here in Atlanta, and then stay tuned. In 2 weeks, you'll see our next hot air balloon stop. But thank you all again for joining us, and have a wonderful rest of your week. And we'll see you next Thursday. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.